My name is David Kohn. I am the owner and founder of Printwell Printing in Glenview, Illinois.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to Story Behind the Business. This is the inaugural, so the first edition of Story Behind the Business. And today I have David Kohn, owner of Printwell Printing and Glenview native and now Glenview resident. David, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great, man. So you have been in Glenview for a long time. Your presence is not only known, but seen on a daily basis due to the printing and the work you do in the community. My question for you is, how did you get into printing in the first place and why printing?
So being a Glenview native, I went to Maine East High School, and my brother, who is 4 years older than me, leaving the school, I asked him what's a cool elective to take in going into Maine East. And he's like, oh, dude, take printing. It's really cool. You get to work on machines, make notepads, T-shirts. You can mess around in the darkroom. And from then, I went into the class. I saw my first printing press running, and I was in love. It was the most spectacular event of my life. I remember it to this day.
Wow. And so I know, being the gearhead that you are, that must have really appealed to you.
Yeah.
Was it kind of a straight path for you? Like, was that just it, or were there some detours on your way to what you're doing right now, the shop?
So that's interesting. So I had plenty of detours before I found printing, but once I found printing, it was quite clear that was my path. I turned my education around. I turned my behavior around. I started realizing that there is actual purpose for going to school, staying in school, getting an education, completing something. So that led me to wanting to go to college. Prior to finding printing, I actually didn't have any college aspirations at all. And then I ended up going to school, continued my print education for actually print management. Graduated from ASU, and then I started working for Quad Graphics up in Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, that leads me to my next question. I believe heavily in mentors and people that essentially show you the way. Was someone at Quad Printing a mentor for you in what you've achieved?
Unfortunately, Quad was not a very positive experience for me. That's what led me to opening my own business. My mentor actually falls back to freshman year in high school. When I went into the print shop, yeah, the equipment was cool. Yeah, we had fun in the darkroom. But Ron Rathberger, our teacher, he was an incredible man. He saw through our BS. He saw who had potential, who didn't have potential. He was strict, hardcore German. Like, he was like on you. And man, when you got in trouble, you were scrubbing bottom of presses. You were scrubbing the bottom of the developer tanks in the darkroom. You did not want those tasks. And he showed you that if you were good and you stayed on task, there was plenty of rewards in the shop.
You were lucky to find that, man. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
You've said that, you found printing, but it sounds like in a lot of ways, almost printing kind of found you too, which is really cool. So that it's a beautiful love affair. But
Absolutely.
what kind of advice would you have for kind of a budding entrepreneur at this point in time, kind of moving forward? What would you tell somebody that was looking to take some risk right now and get in the world of entrepreneurship?
It's tough. That's a tough question. That question could have been easily answered by me 6 months ago before all this COVID stuff. But I think it still is a very fundamental foundation of an entrepreneur. And I say, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask a bank for funding. Don't be afraid to ask a potential customer for business. Don't be afraid to go to a competitor and ask them what's going on. How can we help? How can we partner? How can we collaborate? Because if you don't ask, you never know.
That's an incredible bit of advice. I think that the weight and the gravity of that advice is heavier than it would seem. I think many times people are afraid to just ask and take that first step. But I know that's not something that you suffer from at all.
No.
How do you feel that your industry might change based on what's happening today? You talk about COVID and everything happening in the world. When you look at your business, you look at your industry, what changes do you think you're going to have to make? And really, what innovations do you think might have to come based on what we're dealing with today?
Another real challenging question, Chris. So, print is a tangible industry. We do have a lot of digital aspects to it, but I am on the tangible side. We produce products. We produce things that people need to exchange, brochures, business cards, letterhead. It's hard for me to say how we are going to have to adapt. I do foresee a ton of new consolidation again in the industry. I think there's going to be a lot more collaborating with the smaller shops together for us to be able to survive. I do know that digital aspects are going to be way more prominent as we are on a Zoom instead of in a person-to-person conversation as we usually have. So I don't have a direct answer or a good answer for that. I think my industry is a little tough. We were on the edge of already having some sort of consolidation and or sectors of our business kind of disappearing as we're getting more and more digital. But we are still a tangible society. In this last few days, I've seen a nice pickup with my clients and my customers of new orders coming in, which is great for us because it was a little nerve-wracking for a while because we didn't have a lot of essential businesses as clients. So we did taper off quite a bit. So I wouldn't mind revisiting this question in 6 to 9 months from now.
Well, and I'd love to be able to do that with you. But one thing that I do know about human beings, and certainly being an entrepreneur, is that you have to adapt. And you've already shown your ability to do that and your ability to shift and kind of pivot during this time. So I think it's incredible. But I have a more intimate question for you. Why Glenview? You know, I know you had a business or at least one store in Chicago, I believe, at some point. But why did you feel compelled to bring your business, your passion, your time to the village of Glenview?
It's my home. It's where I grew up. It's my passion. I love this place. The people have always been good to me. The village has always been good to me. If it wasn't for this village and the school district, I have no clue what I would be doing today.
Wow. Well, I think that's it. I think that sums it up. David Kohn, thank you so much for being our first guest on Story Behind the Business. I wish you all the luck in everything that you're going to do moving forward. And I think there are going to be some brighter days to come.
I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Got it. Talk to you soon.
Later.